elderly mentally challenged people in their home. They had strict rules and had to meet with a medical team often. My grandpa was never good at finances. My grandma dealt with the money and tried to prevent him from spending it all. My grandma died. Whoa, 2 years ago already. A few months later, I'm at my grandpa's wedding. At the time, I was frustrated and
I don't
betrayed,
know.
but the let the old
I don't
man
know
have
how
his
this
fun
looks.
argument finally convinced me.
I'm gonna
This new
try
lady
the
seemed okay. She was
the
going
bigger
to the
one.
same
I feel like
church
the
and
bigger
seemed
one's just gonna take up
respectful of
less
my
time.
grandma's legacy. For the past 2 years, my dad moved out and started living with the girl he cheated on my mom with. Complicated story. He moved in with my grandpa. My grandpa made my dad in charge of all the finances in his will, including the
Are you yo?
inheritance.
No, I'm using these. I'm using these. I don't care.
Much as he spent all my
I'm
grandpa's
deleting the
money
small
after
ones. I'm
she
using
passed and
these.
bought land he could not afford. One thing that was guaranteed to get passed down to me was my grandma's Bible. She had personal notes and kept track of family dates and birthdays in there. My grandpa and his new wife moved just out of town.
Pikachu, I wish you could play with me. Maybe in a different universe. And why does it sit like that?
We didn't hear back from him.
No.
Then,
I messed it up.
my mom went out the front door to grab something from the car. She saw presents in the doorway. Yep, on Christmas he stopped at our house and didn't even bother to knock. In the 9 months they were married, without informing my dad or even alluding to it, my grandpa changed his will and left everything to his new wife. She didn't bring this up.
That makes it so much easier. I don't know why I didn't use the big ones.
My dad was taking charge, so the bee is taking everything meant for my grandpa's sons, without remorse. Apparently she even laughed about it during the meeting. My dad and uncle are saying frick it and not going to court as my grandpa had so much debt and no one really cares about the inheritance anyway. My mom asked her about the Bible. She said, oh, well I'll look for it, but you know, we moved so yeah. She's even taking the land that was donated to my grandparents to build a church on.
And I'm gonna save real quick in case something bad happens.
Is being told that he should take over the church and my grandfather's legacy.
This is start of a new beginning.
Can't wait for the family dynamics. Wish me luck. My very religious parents were always extremely poor and kept getting poorer when I was growing up. Yet they managed.
What the fuck is that?
To save about
What is that?
for me for college over 17 years. Anyway, I went to college for free on scholarship and didn't use it. During college I had come out as transgender and that wasn't very popular with my family. And I had to start living out of my car, my dorm, or other people's houses.
I really do be like
I
that.
wasn't welcome to go home. Essentially I was marginally homeless, in the sense that they claimed me on their taxes but didn't in any way feed or house me. Anyway, they still had my money. During my senior year they finally said they'd welcome me home with open arms for Christmas. They had been super nice to me on the phone for a month or two before, and I was excited about not spending Christmas eating canned goods in my car. Upon arrival at home, I'm basically locked down in the laundry room with no access to the outside world, forced to wear male clothing, sleep on a mattress on the floor, and told humans sleep in beds, animals sleep in here.
What
I had
the
to pay
fuck?
for my own groceries while I stayed in there for 3 weeks, even though I desperately needed durable shoes and some money for gas and food and toiletries. My parents told my relatives not to give me money because I would misuse it and instead to chip in to buy a useless acoustic guitar. Now I say useless because 1, I'm a classical guitar player and they knew this and counted upon the insult, and 2, I was living out of my car eking by. Finally they had to let me out or one of my friends was going to report me kidnapped. Then they sent me a letter saying they were taking all of my money until I found Jesus, and even then, probably not. To top it off, they ended the letter by asking when my graduation was and demanding invites for themselves and all my relatives and demanding that I'd transition to walk across the stage so I wouldn't offend them.
Hold up.
Yep, I'm freaking gorgeous and I freaking strutted across that stage. Then with some help from the bank, I got my money. Then I got in my friend's car, went to the airport, bought a plane ticket to Illinois, and now I'm making more money than my parents combined. Frick those people. Dude, seriously, you go. When I was 16 years old,
please stop moving. Okay.
I returned from a family vacation to find my entire house trashed. Someone had broken into the house and evidently had a party. There were empty beer bottles on the ground and the place was generally trashed. No major damage.
I mean, does this look? This is cool, I guess.
In my bed, it was gross. To make
I guess it
matters
looks
worse,
cool.
the day before we left for vacation, we had rolled up a bunch of loose change and put the rolls in a bag. There was about
Maybe I would have benefited if I didn't make
$1,100
that
of change.
entirely flat.
On the mirror in the bathroom, the words "Thanks God Gamelol" were written in red lipstick, so we knew the person was someone that knew me. We later deduced that they had entered using a sort of secret entrance that only I and my few best friends knew about. I talked to all of my friends about it. I have some idea who it might be, but I don't want to start making accusations without knowing for sure. Some of my friends are into drugs and I thought that this was probably a factor. Months pass and no one fesses up.
I didn't know you could
I tell
actually
them
use
that
stuff
I'm
in the
willing
toggle
to
work
forgive
too.
them, not be their friend anymore, but not press charges and just let them live their life. If they come forward, complete silence. My parents get the cops involved. One day I get a call from my friend.
Yeah, this looks better.
Gamelol.
Looks better,
What the
yeah.
frick, man? You made John. Name changed. Go to the cop shop for an interrogation. You know he's cool. They scared him so much he agreed to pay back the money even though he didn't do it. I know John. He is flat broke and he doesn't really care about authority figures. There is absolutely no way he would agree.
This is gonna be
to pay back the
upstairs. That's why I'm
money if he
making
didn't steal
that
it in the first
indentation.
place. At that moment I knew exactly who had done it. He would later confess, but from that phone call forwards I
Hey,
the thing about John is
how you pronounce your name? I'm sorry.
He had a very rough childhood. His parents
And
were
you don't have to
police,
follow me.
especially his mom.
It's
One
fine
of the
if
most
you.
frightening people I've ever
I'm just
met.
fucking you.
His dad
Just
always had
notice me, I
trouble
guess.
finding good work, and he had some serious behavior issues.
I'll follow you
As
if you
we
want.
got into high school,
That's not
he
right
got
now,
into
though.
drugs. I did too, but not in the same way.
But thank you for
And
coming
he
to the
was a pretty
stream.
big coke fiend by 16. I
My
was
computer
always
can
his
barely
friend.
handle
He
like
was
playing a
really
video in the
involved to
background,
me
so
sometimes, but
I
always
would
supported
follow
him.
you.
I'd take him to hockey games, let him sleep over when crap was bad at his house, get him high when he was too broke to pick up. I'm not really angry about it anymore. Just sad that our friendship had to end like that. Sometimes I wonder what he's doing these days. I hope he is well. To make
I just have some
worse,
laptop.
the day before we left for vacation, we had rolled up a
My
bunch
grandfather
of loose
bought it for
change
me.
and put the rolls
It
in a
works
bag. There was
well
about
enough.
$1,100 of change. $1,100.
It gets the job done, you know.
Okay, my father cheats on my mother
So
for several years.
I'm trying to like build, like if you, I'm trying to build a mansion here.
He's seeing, who he works with, has a crush on him and is throwing herself at him, but he's bravely resisting.
Pretty fun.
What kind of total butthole alludes to his own affair? Mrs. Me's 7th birthday party.
And plus I get to listen to
is
things in the
a fair
background.
woman. Secretly, Ray mortgages our house into the ground so he can leave and buy a new house with his new woman. A few years before this,
I don't know if I
my
want
great-grandmother had
to
died
make
and
this
my
all
grandmother
window,
gives my mother several
or just some of
thousand
it.
pounds of the inheritance.
Actually, yeah,
She told my mum to
this whole
keep
thing's
it a
gonna be
secret
window.
because she knew my dad would take it. Of course, the sneaky bastard finds out, and then he became abusive until my mother, in tears, authorized him to drain the account. Buys a new car for himself with it. So after the divorce, this sucker is earning about 3 times the salary of my mother, who can only barely afford to feed her kids and give them a reasonably normal life on her tiny salary with now huge mortgage
Hey, this is.
payments.
Can I expand
Not
this?
only that, she is driving
Hold
a
on, let me see if I can
freaking
expand this.
bucket
Can I?
around,
Nope.
whilst he's
Damn.
driving a new car he bought with her money. After the divorce and about 2 weeks of paying child support, the C decides he's paying too much. Convinces his company to pay.
In like a real world scenario,
his
this would be the
real
most
money so his earnings fall.
non-private
Then he
house
pays more than my
ever.
mother can ever
I would be
afford
so
on some
exposed.
expensive lawyer so that we have no hope of making him ever pay more than pittance through the courts. So that he is now paying next to nothing for his own kids after having financially sabotaged them. So many disappointing years pass and somehow eventually I make it to uni.
Yeah, this
Now,
looks
being
cool.
from a poor family and financing yourself is freaking hard, but I manage it. But nobody in London will rent a flat to me. The only chance in heck you can get a rental as a student is with a guarantor. Somebody who'll sign and say they'll promise to cover it if you can't pay rent. And everybody in my family is too poor to lay out the guarantee. Luckily my father promises he'll cover it. A pittance compared to his salary. We sort out the flat 2 months before I'm
Damn.
supposed to move in.
I put
Then
2.
the sucker decides to tell me the day before that he won't be my guarantor after all. It's too risky in case I can't pay my rent and he has to pay some. That's why I don't like him anymore. Oh, he also gave my mother a black eye just before I was born by punching her in the face. And he told me I didn't stop messing around on women until I was 27. He dated my mother from 23 until 27.
Okay, I'm not gonna make it all window. I'm just gonna stop right here and make this just a regular block.
That's what wives do. Does getting regularly beat by his father whilst growing up somehow absolve him of all this? So, the theme is gifts. A. 5 years old, I begin to open my first gift. I like the paper and I know that my grandmother is extremely frugal. I'm slowly peeling the tape. Stepdad gets angry. I'm not demonstrating enough enthusiasm.
I like how my outfit just matches this whole house. I'm loving it.
And starts ripping the paper off while yelling at grandmother. They each grab another of my gifts and proceed to show each other.
This is kind of thick, so I'm gonna like lower this a little bit.
They continue to argue. Can't remember B-Day or anniversary. I feel my now ex-wife has spent a ton of time with kids and is not really taking time for herself. I pick out 2 books I think she'll like, some bubble bath and such. When I give her the gift I tell her that she's done so much she needs to take time for herself, so the real gift isn't the books, but is time. That is, whenever she wants she should just take a break and I'll cover whatever she needs. Kid duty, making a meal, whatever. Starts screaming at me that she can't believe I just bought her books and that that's not enough of a gift. Christmas. Spend hours figuring out gift with person's son. We pick out a bracelet. Spend a fair amount of time debating whether we should get silver or gold, as perhaps she'll think gold is too much, etc. Buy the silver, which was not cheap in and of itself. BTW, but certainly isn't the point. Give gift. Screamed for a good while about how I didn't put enough.
Now that I'm thinking about it,
etc. TF.
I think I want to have windows right here.
I'm terribly sorry.
So if that's the case, I'm gonna delete some of these windows.
Stop laughing at that image. Goddamn IT Ethel, I will show you how to wrap a present. This is serious business.
Okay, I'm gonna delete some of them.
I met an unemployed guy who was poor and barely able to feed his family or pay the bills. So
please
I
delete.
to regularly
Delete.
mow our lawn and pay him a higher than average fee to have the lawn mowed. While we go out of town the week he usually mows and I tell him to just mow it like usual and prepaid him. Well, I get back and the lawn hasn't been mowed. I just figured something came up. Not a big deal. So I try to call him and he doesn't answer. Called a few more times over the next couple days and got concerned for him. Thinking something may have happened. Hoping there is something I can do to help him.
I just find it funny how
Open it up, and everything.
Why is there a fall option?
Stolen. I suspect him, but know that there was no evidence
So
he
random.
did it besides his suspicious behavior of avoiding me.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
They pretty much say that I won't ever see
Don't be
stuff again,
suspicious.
that is that.
Okay,
While
I'll stop.
I am walking
I'll stop being
around
cringy for
Walmart
y'all.
A few months later, I see him. His eyes widen and he literally turns and quickly walks the other way. It was at that moment I knew.
He fucked up.
Hired a poor guy to mow my lawn. He stole everything.
If you don't use that
I told
that
my
line,
best friend that his friend violated
low
me.
IQ.
He was shocked, but concluded that he didn't mean it, and effectively told everyone in the community that I lied about being violated so that I wouldn't interfere with their lives. It sucks because my in-laws live in the same community, and my mill used to make jokes like be careful not to drink too much, you wouldn't want something you regret to happen, etc. Whoa, I did not realize how fricked up that was until I wrote it down. Doubt anyone will see this, but here it goes. I have a mother that would do anything for her kids. She has battled and survived cancer and numerous other illnesses. My sister called her one day saying she has been diagnosed with cancer and needed
I wonder
$5,000
what it look like with
surgery
a
that she's
window
going to
here.
need. She tells my mom
I'm just
everything from
curious.
who the doctor is to what they are going to do. My mom in tears rushes to take out a loan and immediately heads to pay for it. Where, as you might HVE guessed, finds out my sister.
What if I
lied
put
about
the
whole
smaller
thing.
windows?
When my mom calls her to ask her what's
I feel
going
like
on, my sister
the smaller
yells at her
windows
for
would be
going
better
to the
here.
doctor's office first and not just giving her the money and hangs up on her. Oh, and she also stole my Christmas money that year. Not cool. Yikes, I hope your sister is only 17. There was this kid I knew in high school who was on the periphery of my group of friends. Nobody
I don't know,
really
looks
liked
kinda
him all
ugly.
that much, but we ourselves were sort of an amalgam of the kids that didn't fit in elsewhere. So we sort of felt obligated to include him, if he made the effort, which he usually didn't. I was in the cafeteria one day and didn't have a place to sit, but I saw him. So I figured, well, why not, and ate my lunch with him. He told me he just got a Super Nintendo,
Sigh.
and as he knew I had one he wanted to trade games. At first I welcomed the idea, since I didn't have a lot of games and didn't really have any trading partners, but then he explained that he only had the game which came with the system, which I obviously had. So it would be pointless for him to exchange anything with me. I was a bit suspicious, but then he started
So
promising
inconvenient.
the stars, moon, sun and sky once he started getting his own games. So I figured, what the heck, if he's serious, it's worth the risk. The next day
No,
I gave him
ho.
my
I
copy
want
of
a
Dead
window
Twins.
pane.
A
Window
week
pane.
later, I asked him if he could return my game. It was my game, but my brother
I'm playing this on a whole
admitted it was
laptop.
missing and had
Yo, this is so
suddenly
frustrating. I wish
decided it was the best
I
game
could use
for
my brother's
history
mouse
of
real quick.
video games and wanted it back.
I'm about to
He
ask him.
seriously pulled the whole what video game routine, like some bad mafia parody. He clearly had every intention of pretending our exchange had never happened, and I decided then and there that if we were going to be all mafias about it, and I had just seen A Bronx Tale and remembered this advice, you don't even like him. There's your
I don't know.
answer.
Maybe if I...
Look at it this way. It cost you $20
Okay, I'm gonna put the
to get
windows
rid of
here.
him, right? He's never gonna bother you again.
But I'm gonna
He's never
change the
gonna
color
ask you
of
for
the
money
doors
again.
too,
He's out of your life for $20.
to see if it will look better.
You got off cheap.
Because
Forget
this
about
just
it.
like this just
You'll
looks
never
so
tell anyone.
empty
Never
and
talk to him again.
barren.
And he stayed
Maybe
out of
add
my
some
group of
decorations or
friends for the
something.
rest of high school. He got a free game, but he had only himself to play with. When I was in labor, literally in the labor and delivery room at the hospital, I was in excruciating pain. My now ex-husband was adamant that I do not get an epidural. His ignorance about its effects were the reason.
Okay, I gotta memorize what that shit is because I keep losing what the marble is actually is. Okay, we're gonna flatten these.
Fine. Get an epidural, but when we get home I can play WoW and you cannot nag me about it. That is on the list of the stupidest freaking things you say to the woman about to give birth to your baby. When she was born,
Yeah,
he
I'm gonna
was
change the
terribly and
border
visibly
to black.
disappointed that it was not a boy. I knew a very lovely girl once, who I met at a local karaoke. She was seeing a regular DJ at this particular bar and later confessed to me that she had contracted herpes from contact with him. Apparently it was a
No, I'm sorry.
his cold sores, but nonetheless,
This looks
it was a bit
ill.
upsetting to hear. During their time together, he also
There has.
had a
I want
male
something to
girlfriend who
be
loved him and
here,
lived with him,
like at the
which was
entrance. It just
completely
looks so
platonic. He ended up
barren.
seeing this friend of mine behind her back, but it was largely perceived as an unspoken and accepted practice after some time, as his main girlfriend became aware of it through casual suspicion. Now that particular arrangement seems perfectly reasonable to me so long as all parties are in the know.
Like I want.
But the fact that
Is there like a
he banged
lamp
just
here?
about every other girl who went to that bar on his karaoke nights was troubling.
Flag.
What's worse is, he wasn't bagging his dong in the process and giving all of these other unsuspecting women permanent
Okay,
crotch
I'll put some
locks,
statues
not
here.
to mention whatever else. In my mind, knowingly spreading a life-changing illness is reason enough to break the Bulls Bro code, so I felt compelled to inform
What
this
the
girl
Roblox
what
facing the
to
other
do.
way.
Naturally, he was furious to find out and ended up barring me from his shows. What's worse is, she not only chose to stay with him
Damn
despite his actions, but casually cut me out of her life in the process, largely due to his hatred for me. To summarize, it was a double dong move and I was a victim of both. Guy bans me from his shows, and girl bans me from her life because of it. TLDR. Guy puts friend at risk by fricking countless women unprotected. I tell her, she ends up ditching me instead of him. I introduced my best friend, Kevin, to a girl that I knew through work so that they could go on a date. All three
Oh
of
yeah.
us worked at the same
The point of me
place.
like
They
making that
started
smaller
dating
so
and then I quit that job. Shortly after I quit that job, I stopped hearing from Kevin. One of my other friends, Brandon, informed me that his now girlfriend gave him an ultimatum. He could either keep dating her and stop talking to me, or she would dump him. I confronted him on this and he denied that it had happened. However, we have not said more than 2 words to each other since this has happened. They are now engaged and are having a baby together. The best part about this is that everyone that knew her, including Brandon and myself, found out that she had been continuously cheating on him with some girl for their entire relationship. She had informed him of the cheating at the beginning of the relationship and had told him that it was over. However, that was a lie. So, now they'll end up getting
I think I'm
married
just
and
gonna.
I'm sure he'll end up being fricked over due to all of it. TL.
I think I'm just gonna do it.
Best friend of 12 years decides to not talk to me anymore because his cheating girlfriend told him not to. We are both 23. You'll hear from him again when they get divorced. He will apologize, etc. He will occasionally mention that it would be good to hang out like you used to. Poor sucker will be unhappy for years due to his own stupidity. It was Christmas time, and my boyfriend got some stuff from his father, and his father's girlfriend for Christmas. His sister got much more, due to her being really spoiled. The next day, his father took all of his gifts back to the store to buy his sister some more stuff. Dong move, man. Dong move. Oh, so my dad was dating this woman for a while. Eventually she and her son moved in with my father and I. For whatever reason she just kind of took off, leaving her teenage kid with us. So he lives with us for a while. He has a room, food, and my dad gives him cash for whatever every now and then.
Yo,
Well,
some parents be
shortly
fucking
after we moved
trifling.
out, he ended up breaking into our house with a bunch of friends with shotguns
Absolutely
and robbing us of thousands
trifling.
of dollars of crap. I had a shotgun pointed at my head while a guy shouted at me to keep my freaking face on the pool table because of that kid. I'd say that's probably the biggest dong move I can think of. I was laid off by my company 3-4 years ago. It was an awesome job. IT in a giant industrial complex. No MGMT around to stifle fun. As long as we got our day's work done, we could do whatever the heck we wanted. So we got paid to have Nerf gun wars and watch movies and whatever. The economy goes to crap and the contract we were on gets terminated. Boom, 70 people laid off. I get hired back 6 months later by the lady that laid me off for less money and double the work. But I didn't care cause I was so happy to have a job again. 6 months later I find out that I make less than everyone in the building and it's a huge freaking joke and everyone knows it. I literally make less than the lady at the reception desk. So I asked this lady who laid me off and rehired me for less money, for more money, and she laughed at me and told me that she is going to have to lay me off again. Then said she was joking and gave me even more work with no extra pay on a third contract. So I've taken this crap now for 3 years building up San XP and now I am starting to get interest in my resume.
This
I
is...
can't wait for the exit interview.
Why is our world like
I've
this?
been writing it now for 3 years and it is
This world needs a whole
still
balance
dead by
patch,
bullet
honestly.
points. I'm positive things will work out for you. You have been visited by the Wealth Rat. Subscribe in 12 seconds.
Okay, this is too many
Share this
fucking
wealth with you.
windows.
Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.
Too many. Okay, is that good? Yeah, that's good. The satisfying noises of Roblox person walking.
The doctors means worse doctors. I rarely see it discussed, but there really needs to be some kind of reform in this country when it comes to the cost of medical schooling. Doctors provide such crucial functions it makes no sense they should have to start out their careers so deeply in debt. I just want to say, if you break your arm,